Hello, everybody. This is our next episode, our additional episode of Between Two Teachers. And today we have a guest, the Honorable Genoveva Calloway. And she'll be, the topic is the relationship between the cities and our school district and what that looks like and what we can do to strengthen those. And I just want to share, first of all, that Genoveva and I know each other for a long time. We went to school at Mills College together some years ago. And then I came to Helms Middle School to teach. And I have to say that I found Helms to be very unique of any schools that I've ever been to. And the biggest thing that I saw what all of the extra help for students that was there, that I didn't see at any, it was very unique. Things like caseworkers, social workers, medical, there were, parent education, there were all these things going on. And I didn't know at the time the role that the city of San Pablo had in all of that. So that was a new thing. And that's one of the things we'll get to about that. And it made Helms very unique, as I just felt, okay, the students come and there's only so much I can do when I know they need help, more help, but that help was there. And so it was just, I knew I'm never leaving this school, and I retired from that school. And so that's kind of where I want to kind of start with how that all happened and the history of that. So yes, so here is the Honorable Genoveva Calloway. Thank you, Genoveva, for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Madeline and Consuelo, both honorables. And yes, so anyway, I'm Genoveva Calloway, and I was the first Latino elected in the city of San Pablo in 2002. So when I first got on the council, I saw it as a regular thing that cities should work with their schools. But I was very surprised that the majority of the council said, no, the school district does their own thing. That's their responsibility. The city does their own thing. That's our responsibility. We don't need to work together. Well, that didn't settle right. And so anyways, it took 6 years to change the council, so that then 6 years later, after 2002, 6 years later, there was enough council members there. There was 4 progressive council members who agreed. Yes, we're serving the same families, the same students. Why don't we do it together? Be more effective. So that was my first encounter with trying to work, believing that we should work with our school district. So when I went to the website to remind myself on this Communities in Schools initiative that our city of San Pablo initiated, it had in there is in 2008, myself and council member, may he rest in peace, went to a conference that was sponsored by the counties and cities out of UC Berkeley, and who was the other one? The Coalition of Community Schools. So we went to a conference in Seattle, and we came and we learned about it. We already had an idea as to how schools and how schools and the cities could work together. But that conference really solidified for us, for me and Leonard, that what it meant. So basically, what we learned was that Communities in Schools is a model where, besides doing the academics, which is the teachers and the staff from the district, if a kid cannot hear, he can really learn. If a kid's hungry, he can really learn. If they have some, mental health problems, they can really learn. So that's why this model was devised, so that we would bring in services to the school, so that the children or the parents didn't have to go elsewhere to find the services. So that's what the traditional model really means. And every city has might have different issues. But for us, it was just the beginning of bringing services to a school. So I remember Helms was our first school that we started with Lazina Jones. Do you remember her?
Yes, I do, Lazina.
The city paid for her position. for a couple of years. And then later on, we realized that it was, because of bureaucracies, that it was kind of hard to have more of an influence on that position because she had to go by the rules of the district. So anyway, we then decided to take the money and hire our own people. So then the city hired a person outside of the district and still, allowed her to be placed there. So that's when the city kind of like took the funding, took it over, and we said, let's just do it ourselves. So let's see. That happened. It started in 2008. 2 years later, the city created the Youth Services Program and the Youth Futures Task Force. 2011, the city passed the San Pablo Full Service Community Schools Initiative at the council. From 2002 to 2011, it just, things are slow, as you both of you realize. 2012, then obviously we needed funding. So 2012, we then had a Measure Q passed by our voters, a sales tax increase. So with that money that we got, we were able to fund some more programs. Between 2011 and 2014, the city had invested $1.2 million in our schools.
In the schools, wow.
Yeah, and that not just involved Helms, but by that time we had Lake, Bayview, and Dover.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, currently the city has been investing $647,000, and the district matches with $75,000, and then the lead agency, which I don't recall right now who it is, they provide a 25% match of the total funds. So that's how we kind of like do a partnership. In 2021, we're hoping to be at Downer, and at 2023 at Riverside. So those are the long-term goals that the city has had to get into all the schools. The issues that are here, or is working with the bureaucracies of both institutions, the city and the school district. Preventing, or how do we not work in silos, which we're experts at. And so that's a challenge all the time, not to work in silos, know what the right side is doing with the left side. And also funding. Obviously, funding is going to be a big issue because our sales tax needs to be renewed. I believe this November.
Oh.
It will expire in 2 years, but it's still, you got to do it ahead of time.
Right.
Be prepared. So, and also with the COVID-19 right now, we're not getting sales tax. We're not, everybody, the whole country, I guess, is going to be feeling some revenue challenges. So that's yet to be seen. But I think the council as a whole is very committed to continue this partnership with our district at this point. That's related to the future too, in terms of the city continues to be committed, and the school district, I believe, is committed, and we're, staff goes out and presents at conferences about our model, because other cities and districts would like to do the same thing. And so that's the work that needs to be done. For example, in West Unified School District, there's 5 cities. So challenge is to work with those different cities and see what those cities need or what they want to bring to the table in their schools, in their jurisdictions. And I think that's possible. It just, takes the will of council members and board members on the school side to do the hard work, the legwork that needs to be done ahead of time. And not just say, well, staff should do it. Well, staff will have too many things to do. Superintendents have a lot of stuff. I've always believed in the council or the board members could do some of the, advocacy or research behind the scenes and then bring it to staff, of course. For example, for me, I recall I was elected 2002. I think 3 years later, I was mayor. And as mayor for 1 year, most mayors, well, in other cities have a project that they want to do. For me, I said, I know what I'm going to do. I can't wait for the council to change, but they couldn't prevent me from holding and organizing a principals meeting. So I knew the principals would come, the 5 elementary and Helms. We came together. I brought the city services staff to the meeting. They in their, their resources. And then together we started planning. The first thing we realized was that recreation, the city could provide something during the weeks that the breaks that the school has. During that week, the city could provide some extra classes and whatever in the neighborhoods or in the schools. So that, it's like, duh, kind of like, but anyway, it started happening, and then we started coordinating with the schools, what kind of classes or programs the children needed during the summer to continue their learning. So then we coordinated even the summer programs with this district. So that started, and then finally, many years later, when staff was hired for this community in schools initiative, I had to give up my principal's meeting and kind of give it to staff. That was kind of sad, but I understood. Staff had to take it over, and so that's what happened. But I said, I asked the principals, my year is up. We're going to stop meeting. They said, no. I said, okay, we'll stay. So that was a good thing. I mean, I recommend to any mayor to do in their city.
And they still do it, right? They still have those meetings. Yeah.
They do. Staff now handle the meetings with the principals.
Yeah, that's great. Can you talk a minute about Lake?
Well, what did you have in mind? Because each school has a lot of different issues.
Well, when they were going to, weren't they going to close it?
Oh, yes. That's what came to mind, but I want to make sure. So Lake, on the school district, Madeline, you were on the board then, right?
Absolutely. I know the Lake story, yeah.
I mean, the district had to close schools. And of course, Lake on the cutting board. And we went to a community meeting at Lake by the district with the superintendent there. Leonard and I went to the meeting. And yes, the families were very much against it. And then Leonard, bless his heart, Leonard stood up and said, let's see what the city can do about this. Let's see. So he came back to the city and I supported him. And we agreed to pay for the school to be kept open. It was $3 because we had to pay for the staff. That was the majority of it.
Right.
It was $100,000 a year, and we paid it for 3 years.
Yep.
We got a lot of flack from staff because some staff felt that it was not our responsibility to pay for schools. That was the district's, and we took the flack. We said, no, those are our children and our families, and we have to do it. So we did. We kept it open.
That's an incredible example, and that was something that I don't see happening as much in other cities. But at that particular time, that is exactly what you did in San Pablo, and the city of Richmond did the same thing.
Yes.
Because they also had schools on that list, right? And the school board met with the city council in Richmond, and they also paid all over those years. So that's just shows the commitment to keeping the commitment on behalf of everybody to say this is all our children. We are all as electeds. All the electeds have a responsibility to to our communities and to our schools.
We see those schools as part of our communities.
Yes,
so children can walk to school. It's in their neighborhood. We just
right,
a priority.
Right. And then also to understand that there's a way to partner to bring in the resources. Right. That's the big thing, right? Not to keep blaming each other and not to be in these silos, which are completely self-constructed and self-maintained. And you've got to break out of the silos. And it's very hard to do. It doesn't get easier. And I think it's what's going to be interesting now. Everybody has these district elections within the schools and within the cities. I think those are more silos. Yes. I'm worried about that.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
I think it's going to be harder for the person who represents Hercules Pinole children and is elected by those families to come back and see the importance of working with the El Cerrito City Council or the San Pablo City Council. They need to, but it's going to be harder to do it, I think.
Yeah, it's just the same thing in terms of usually people that get elected, sometimes they have their own agenda and they don't want to get off anyway. Right. But this one, even though they're being elected in their district or their wards, the responsibility is still to look out for the entire district.
Exactly.
Just look out for your little neighborhood. No.
That's right.
And it's just going
right.
to be that we elect people who can see the whole picture and also can bring, our needs into the table.
Exactly. So that's going to be a learning curve here. That's, as we all get started on the district election path that's coming up.
Right.
But, and also figuring out how we're going to all work together to bring more resources in to make up for what we're losing in the COVID-19.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Kind of this pandemic has kind of forced us to see how important those relationships are. For instance, I'm thinking about the food issues.
Right.
They're working with the county, working with cities. We're all kind of coming together around those issues. So it's an opportunity, to show we need each other's partnerships, technology. Where do we get more hotspots? All that. That's involving everybody. We can't work in silos. It's not going to work. So I think, and you're right, Genoveva, we need people with that mindset to understand how important that is. And we're kind of being forced to see the necessity for it. And I was just glad you were able to come and show us this is some of the possibilities, and this is how it worked, and this is how it came to be. So
right. And it does exist. I mean, it's what we've talked about earlier today. The whole child, the idea of educating the whole child, right? And right now with the distance learning conversation, there's an emphasis on moving away from the whole child. And that's a problem. So that has to be called out, right? That's the union president from New York has done that. And I think that we have leaders here, but we have to continually do it, right? Because it's at risk right now. This is an opportunity where we can lose sight of it.
Exactly. And right now, the other thing that we need to, and I don't know if you've done it already in your talks, is talk about the census 2020.
Oh, we need to do that.
Because
you're right.
Now if we don't get counted, then we're going to lose out in funding.
Yes.
Talking about funding, revenue.
Here she is. Look at this. She's wearing
my census t-shirt.
Census t-shirt.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
We're at Darlene, who's one of the
yes.
US so her and the Cinco de Mayo committee, which we had gotten some funding for the parade to market the census, and obviously no parade was done. So now I'm having to join new partnerships, and we were at Richmond High School today during the lunch giveaway. There's huge lines, and we were passing out the flag that we had gotten from the county and the little flyers. So Darlene and two students that we were able to pay the parade committee, we got a little bit of money, we were able to pay the students. So we just got to do some more, and we're going to be at Helms on Tuesday.
That's a really good point. That is a huge, huge issue.
And the places where we're handing out food, that's the perfect place and the time to do it, because they're going to show up. They're going to be there. Yeah.
That's the only place. I mean, now it's so hard. You can't give it to the faith community because nobody's going.
They're not going to church.
There's nothing to go to. They're going online to Zoom, right?
Yeah. Although some of our churches are also giving the free lunches. So that's
true. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's where we could go. Yeah, we're going to go to Kennedy, I think, next week. I say we, I'm a partner, but I won't be going, but I work behind the scenes, and we're trying to get more swag to give out.
That's it.
It's sitting somewhere in somebody's office.
Well, there are 17 locations, right, in the Bay Area, and in the district that they're giving out food.
Yes.
So
I just dropped off a bunch of these T-shirts and buttons to at Richmond High School. So there's a box with some stuff there. So just so you know, there is some swag going around. Oh, and there's some big posters, which would be good to put up as they drive through. They see the posters too.
We're considering, we're going to do a caravan. We're working on doing a caravan. A couple of other cities have done that already. So they get 6 cars. I think that's maybe the minimum.
Yeah.
Or the max. And we're working with both cities, Richmond and San Pablo Planning Department, because they're the ones who also got a grant to do Census 2020 information in our PDs. And we're organizing, we're meeting again on Tuesday to organize a caravan and figure out which census tracts have not been reporting. So that we're gonna, the caravan is gonna drive up and down the street with the signs on their car and with some noise to get people to look at least out the window, and hopefully, they'll remember to do it. So that's right now in the works.
That's it. I mean, see, that's an example of really being creative and adapting to this, right? You never would have done that before.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And we were knocking on doors. which is
Yeah,
what people
exactly.
pay for.
We can't do it.
Exactly.
Now we gotta figure something. Yeah. So we're doing this. We're calling it Censo de Mayo, since we didn't have a.
All right. Yes.
And then in June, Richmond wants to do a Juneteenth caravan. So there's their tracks. See, they have more tracks, more census.
Yeah,
tracks.
they do. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're going to do another one in June, and we're going to do one at the end of May. So
we'll advertise those for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What
we
happens?
can do
That's
that.
what we're going to do is it's going to get recorded. We have a
Okay.
videographer is going to record it, and then we're going to put it out on social media.
Great.
But
Yeah.
the other cities did.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I saw some of them, and that was pretty cool. And we could have some leaders, community leaders, to speak English and Spanish, so they can give out, the importance, tell people the importance of it. So we just
Well, that's
started.
exactly, that's the ultimate schools and communities, right? And then the next thing we have to really all work together on schools and communities first,
Right.
because that is the money that's going to the cities and to the schools.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there has to be a really big push for that, because it's people just have to know we have to pay for it somehow, and that is where your Chevron's got to pay for it. It's not us.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People need to know what they're going to lose out, which our communities will lose out on a lot if we don't get counted. If we don't get counted.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. It's not an easy thing. That's exactly right. It's not like you stay put, you go backwards.
Right. And
Yeah.
for 10 years, the impact
Yeah,
will be
10 years.
10 years in place. Yeah.
10
Yeah.
years. It's a big deal.
Well,
Big deal. Well, this was a
thank
great
you.
conversation.
This was great. Genoveva, as usual, you are a role model for all of us on how to get things done. Working in the community for so long. I want to mention how you were instrumental in Familias Unidas happening,
co-founder.
Metas. I mean, you
And
are
Concilio Latino.
Latino that you've taken.
yes,
Yes.
really taken. So
You have some
thank you
young
so
people. That's
much.
good. You have some young partners in the Concilio.
We do. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
welcome.
We will send you a link to this so that
Yes.
your many fans will be able to see this, see the interview.
Yeah, watch me again. Thank you,
Okay,
two ladies. Thank you too for all the work you do. Yes, you do a lot
Thank
of work.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let me end my recording.